Good afternoon, YouTube. JT Serenity Farms prepping here. Happy Valentine's Day to anyone who celebrates that. Alright, so we're not going to talk about the impeachment debacle coup attempt by the treasonous, traitorous, scumbag Democrats. We're going to talk about what's their pandemic now that the entire COVID sham boondoggle is being exposed, and everyone is waking up to the fact that it is simply false mass hysteria pushed by the left. It's going to be a nationally declared climate emergency. And they will likely do it while they are enforcing the unconstitutional lockdowns. Remember way back about 6 months ago when Kamahoe said no one was going to eat red meat, and now Camel Face Kerry is the climate czar, but he's got like 12 houses and 3 planes and 6 automobiles, and because people like him need to travel that way. And the climate hoax that we all know, it's the same thing. The left creates a problem, pushes mass hysteria and gets the libtards to swallow it whole, and then provides the solution, which always results in more control. And that is the plan with climate change. It's wealth redistribution, collapsing America, control, control, control. And here's how they're going to do it.
Let's think of coronavirus, all right? Pope seeks Copernican revolution for post-COVID economy. Pope Francis urged governments on Monday, just the other day, to use the coronavirus crisis as a revolutionary opportunity to create a world that is more economically and environmentally just, and where basic health care is guaranteed for all. And then it just goes into this whole globalistic speech. But then he said this is really interesting. He said children have suffered in coronavirus from an educational catastrophe with closed schools. Well, we've been saying that since the beginning. Then he said, women have been victims of domestic abuse. We've been saying that. The faithful, this is interesting, have been deprived of communal worship, and that all of humanity has been restricted from close human conduct. So you look at this and you go, well, where's all this going? He's saying, essentially, the lockdowns of coronavirus, there were some negative things. And in fact, when you read that, it sounds like, wow, he's really talking like a Christian. Understand this. In Revelation chapter 13, the Bible tells us that the false prophet is going to appear like a lamb with 2 horns, but he's going to speak like a dragon. And when I read what the Pope said, he's talking about building a global kingdom. A global kingdom where you do make sure that there's going to eventually be a leader at the top, and everybody is going this particular direction. And you listen to various things that the Pope has said over the last several years, and you find out he is talking about controlling everybody. He can't have nation states and so forth. Okay, but he's also going to appear like a Christian, two horns like a lamb, but speak like a dragon. He's going to appear like a Christian. He says these really good things. Kids have been suffering, women have been suffering, people haven't been able to worship. That sounds like the Christian thing, but then he speaks like a dragon. It's that dragon thing. So where's this, it's that global thing. So where's all of this going? When you look.
Okay, so I think many of us believe that the Pope is a communist. All right, I don't think he's the Antichrist, but I believe he's a communist. All he talks about is global warming and making a one world religion, all crap that does away with, eliminates individuality of any kind. He's a globalist, a deep stater. And you're going to find all of a sudden that Pedo Joe and Kamahoe and the radical Satanists on the left are going to love this guy now because he speaks their language. Okay, which one's lying? Yeah, when their lips are moving. Okay, so as the hoax of the pandemic is exposed every day, they need to come up with something else. But first, they've got to make excuses, come up with some type of answers about why numbers are dropping, deaths are dropping, cases are dropping. Because when you do a false narrative, manipulate the numbers, have all positive tests, and fearmonger, then all of a sudden, when it's time to move on to the next phase of your great reset plan, you've got to come up with numerous excuses to cover for letting go of all the bullshit that you just forced upon us for the last year. So listen to this little explanation.
It's that dragon thing. So where's this, it's that global thing. So where's all of this going? When you look, well, wait a minute, are we not going to have lockdowns? And then you hear this. Weekly COVID news wrap up. Cases are dropping and no one is sure why.
Oh, I'm sure.
Most notably, COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have dropped precipitously in the United States in the last several weeks. Experts are unsure why we are seeing such a drop, as vaccinations can't be having this dramatic of an impact quite yet. Check this out. Last week it was reported there was a 44% drop in coronavirus cases in the United States of America over the previous 3 weeks. 44% drop. So you hear about this and you hear about a loosening of lockdowns. In fact, in California, we are witnessing some of that right now. A judge ruled that churches can get back to worship under certain guidelines and certain restrictions. But we in California are experiencing some relieving of some of the lockdown madness. Maybe it's because Newsom is about ready, the governor of California is about ready to be threatened with being recalled like a dragon.
All right. So as we know, within a few days of the installation of whoever that is circling 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we mysteriously and coincidentally saw tyrannical despot cesspool governors start to lessen and relax some of their draconian tyrannical dictator edicts. Newsom's probably scared of the recall. Eric Cuomo is probably scared of the death penalty. And many of the other cesspool mayors and governors are just part of the pandemic, and they're all just lessening and relaxing restrictions because it was only about November. Now they need to move on to the next phase, and this gets interesting.
I don't know, but we're watching these different things. But what's really going to happen? Because we know that the world needs to be controlled. There needs to be a global system. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is what I believe. It's not just going to be a full-on letting up of everything, because those globalists are going this particular direction. They have learned a way to control the masses of the people. And I believe quite likely what's going to happen as we continue over the next few months, people are going to say, well, that lockdown wasn't all that bad. And then boom, we're going to be hit with another lockdown. And the next one coming is going to be much more restrictive. And this is what it's going to be. And I've been saying this for years and years. It is going to be climate lockdown. So this is what Romans chapter 1 says. God talks about that generation that would come along. They would worship the creation rather than the creator. They would worship Mother Earth would become the god. Folks, that is the days that we live in. Listen to this. Here come the climate lockdowns, writes PJ Media. PJ Media's Jeff Reynolds reported the proposed climate emergency legislation that would declare climate change a national emergency is coming. PJ Media went on to say, suppose President Biden and other Western leaders were to declare a climate lockdown. In a climate lockdown, listen to this, governments would limit private vehicle use, ban the consumption of red meat. Let me stop right there. In 1 Timothy chapter 4, in the last days there's going to be doctrines of demons. Look at that, chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. And people will forbid the eating of certain foods. When you read certain translations, you find out what it means. It will be forbidden in the last day to eat meats. This is interesting. So again, President Biden and other Western leaders were, suppose they were to declare a climate lockdown. In a climate lockdown, governments would limit private vehicle use, ban the consumption of red meat, and impose extreme energy-saving measures while fossil fuel companies would have to stop drilling.
Well, doesn't all that sound peachy? You know that this has always been part of the Great Reset, the deep state Democrat plan to control us all, collapse America into a third world shithole along with the rest of the globe, and then we would all be enslaved under a one world cabal. We know this is the plan. Duly elected President Trump was doing everything he could to stop this plan. And from a lot of reports, is still working on that. Which is why this contributor that I'm showing video of says, we are going to end up in this great reset unless God steps in and does something to stop it. And that doesn't mean a great apocalypse of some kind, a tsunami, an earthquake, a meteor, the rapture. It could mean all of those things, but I believe that he's going to count on us, the patriots, to get this done. We need a leader. That's President Trump. Is he designated by God to be the guy? I don't know. I hope and I pray that God does do something, send us a signal that we can stop what seems to be destined to happen. But we've got to rise up sooner or later, I believe. I don't know what we're waiting for, the sign, the signal, the plan, whatever it is. But I'm open to any of those. We got to take care of it soon. Like, share, subscribe, comment, notification bell. But for now, JT, signing off.